For as long as Ravi could remember, he had lived with a constant companion: negative thinking. It was an invisible cloud that hovered over him, casting a shadow on his every thought, decision, and action. He had a job that he disliked, a group of friends who seemed to be moving ahead in life while he stood still, and dreams that seemed unreachable. Every day, Ravi would wake up to an inner voice that told him he wasn't good enough, smart enough, or capable of achieving anything great. But what if there was a way out of this cycle? What if breaking free from negative thinking wasn't just a dream, but a possibility? The early struggles. Ravi's story began in a small town where he had grown up with a lot of expectations. His parents had always hoped he would become a doctor, but Ravi had never been interested in medicine. He was drawn to literature, art, and storytelling. However, the voices around him always told him to be practical and to choose a stable career. As a result, Ravi ignored his passion for writing and chose a career in finance. But deep down, he felt trapped in a life that wasn't his own. Every morning, he would look at himself in the mirror, feeling dissatisfied with what he saw. His heart was heavy. His dreams were buried under layers of self-doubt, and he was stuck in a job that drained his energy. "I'll never be good enough," he would think as he stared at his reflection. "I'm just not cut out for this." It wasn't just about his career. Negative thinking had seeped into every area of his life. He compared himself to others, thinking they were better, smarter, more talented. He started to believe that no matter how hard he tried, he would always fall short. The moment of realization. One day, something changed. Ravi had been invited to a family gathering, and during the event, his cousin Maya sat next to him and struck up a conversation. Maya had always been someone Ravi admired. She was confident, optimistic, and had a way of turning every setback into a lesson. She had her own share of struggles, but she didn't let them define her. "Ravi, you seem a little distant these days," Maya said, noticing his quiet demeanor. "Everything okay?" Ravi hesitated. It wasn't easy to admit how he felt, but something about Maya's presence made him feel safe. He sighed deeply and looked her in the eyes. "I don't know, Maya. I've been feeling stuck. I feel like no matter what I do, it's never enough. I'm always thinking I'm not good enough, whether it's at work or in life in general. It's like this constant cloud over my head." Maya nodded. "I know exactly what you mean. I used to feel the same way, but I realized that negative thinking was holding me back. It's not the world that's against us, Ravi. It's our own thoughts. They shape everything." Ravi looked at her, puzzled. "But how do you stop thinking negatively?" Maya smiled. "It starts with awareness. When you're aware of your negative thoughts, you can challenge them. You can replace them with thoughts that empower you. It's a gradual process, but you can do it." Ravi was intrigued but skeptical. "It sounds easier said than done." Maya laughed softly. "Of course it's not easy, but it's possible. You don't have to change everything overnight, but every small step counts." The journey of change, Maya's words, stayed with Ravi long after the conversation ended. He began to think about his negative thinking patterns and how they had shaped his life. He realized that he had been so focused on his perceived failures that he had stopped seeing his strengths. He was so afraid of making mistakes that he hadn't even given himself the chance to try. Ravi decided to start small. The next morning, he woke up and stood in front of the mirror. He took a deep breath and said, "I am enough. I am capable of growing and learning every day." At first, it felt awkward, but Ravi persisted. Every day, he made it a point to notice the negative thoughts that arose in his mind. Instead of allowing them to control him, he would stop, reflect, and replace them with more positive, empowering thoughts. For example, when he thought, "I'll never succeed," he replaced it with, "I may face challenges, but I am resilient, and I can learn from them." It wasn't an overnight transformation, but Ravi noticed small shifts. He began to feel more confident in his abilities. He started approaching his work with a more positive mindset. He sought out opportunities for growth, even when they seemed intimidating. One day, Ravi received feedback from his manager at work. He had completed a challenging project and was feeling unsure about how it would be received. His manager praised his work, pointing out how his attention to detail and creativity had contributed to the project's success. "That's great, Ravi. You've really stepped up," his manager said. Ravi smiled, feeling a surge of pride. He realized that this moment wasn't just about the success of the project. It was about how far he had come in shifting his mindset. The negative voice that once whispered in his ear that he wasn't good enough had started to lose its power, overcoming setbacks. But the road wasn't always smooth. There were days when the negative thoughts returned stronger than ever. On one such day, Ravi faced a setback at work. A project he had poured his heart into didn't go as planned. He could feel the familiar sting of self-doubt creeping in. For a moment, Ravi wanted to give in. He wanted to tell himself that he wasn't cut out for this career, that he would never be able to achieve his dreams. But then he remembered Maya's words. When you're aware of your negative thoughts, you can challenge them. Instead of spiraling into self-criticism, Ravi paused. He reflected on the situation and asked himself, what can I learn from this? What can I do better next time? It wasn't easy, but Ravi chose to see the setback as an opportunity to grow, not as a confirmation of his inadequacy. He reached out to a colleague for advice, sought feedback, and took proactive steps to improve. Slowly but surely, he rebuilt his confidence and resilience. The transformation. Over time, Ravi's negative thinking began to lose its grip on him. He still had moments of doubt, but they no longer defined him. He had learned to question his thoughts, to replace self-criticism with self-compassion, and to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. His career began to shift as well. Ravi found himself taking on new responsibilities and projects that excited him. He started writing again, something he had long forgotten, and began to share his stories with friends and colleagues. To his surprise, they were received with enthusiasm and support. Ravi had not only broken free from negative thinking, but he had also rediscovered his passion for writing. He realized that the negative thoughts he had once believed about himself were not facts. They were just stories he had told himself. And by changing the story, he had changed his life. Conclusion. Ravi's journey was a long one, filled with challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But through it all, he learned that negative thinking wasn't something he had to accept as his reality. It was a habit that could be broken, a mindset that could be transformed. The key was awareness, patience, and persistence. Ravi realized that he didn't have to be perfect. He didn't have to have it all figured out. What mattered was his willingness to keep moving forward, to challenge his thoughts, and to believe in his ability to change. In the end, Ravi understood that breaking negative thinking wasn't just about feeling better in the moment. It was about creating a new reality for himself, one that was filled with possibility, hope, and growth.